What do you really dislike about living in Barcelona?
And that bar that she intended me to work in was a brothel.
Our society may be corrupted in some ways.
It can be an insular way to live unless
If you come here for opportunities,
I don't like that either.
I've even thought about
I saw several times that tourists.
I saw the security camera footage from that, and it was just very professional.
here they are like brutal animals.
especially when you come from a developing country, which is my case.
And now there are like these two sides, right? Like the dark side and the light side.
Security is rising a lot, especially
steal stuff or beat people up.
What do you dislike about living in Barcelona?
What I dislike. What I don't like is the robberies. Normal, there's a lot of, it's very insecure in the night, walking. It's not good. This is was worse year after year, but I think it's around the world, that kind of sensation now.
And the robberies, are they usually in an aggressive way or more of a pickpocket way?
Even they are becoming more aggressive year after year. And last year, for example, here in Melbourne, during every 10 minutes, 24 hours, there are someone in the street asking for help, asking for whatever, because they are being robbed all the time. So now there are much more police, but they're still, it's impossible to control all that persons. Yeah.
The one thing I dislike about Barcelona is the robberies, which is like not something that you think about when you move to a place. But for example, I've had my phone stolen from the Pride Parade. I was there and someone took the phone straight out of my purse. I tried to hold it down, but they still took it and ran away. And there was another time where I got my laptop stolen while I was at a restaurant. And I was just eating my food with my friend, eating dinner, had my bag underneath my feet, and they still were able to take it. I saw the security camera footage from that, and it was just very professional. I think that that's the one major downside, I think. Yeah, even my girlfriend who's lived here her whole life, she's gotten robbed 5 or 6 times living here.
They generally the hassle of finding a job. Yeah, it's hard finding a job, especially being a foreigner. So, and the rules are you have to stay for 3 years before applying for your paper, and you must apply for your paper with a working contract or go study. So we are subjected to doing very odd jobs for very long hours, and the pay is very little. It's unfortunate that when a foreigner moves in, most people tend to take advantage of the naivety. For example, like myself, when I came to Barcelona, I met one lady. I had gone for a festival and all that, and I asked her how is the situation about looking for jobs and all that. So she introduced me to someone, which was the boss, and that bar that she intended me to work in was a brothel. Yes. So it was an exchange for money on her side for me to enter into prostitution. So you need to be very careful and take your time to get to know people. Don't jump into people, and not everybody should know your personal life. There are people you just meet, have coffee, and that's it. And there are people who you welcome into your personal life. So yeah, just be careful.
Maybe I would just mention two things I dislike. One is there is too much robbers. There is too much people on the street trying to steal either from you or from tourists. That I don't like. And another thing is like at night. At night, a lot of what do you call it? The stealing thing. They attack people, but in groups, like 2, 3 people. They steal stuff or beat people up. The violence. That is the thing I don't like. And also the government, like the police cannot do anything against them. Like, let's say you report to the police comes, obviously they come, they arrest them, they take them in, and the next day they're again out, causing the same problem.
The pigeons, there are pigeons everywhere. Yeah, and the seagulls, I don't like them. They're like really huge seagulls, you know. Like for example, if you go to Norway, the seagulls they're very small, like normal size. Here they are like brutal animals, you know, and you, yeah, I mean it's disgusting. That's what I think. And what I don't like, yeah, the prices sometimes a little bit high, but you get used to it. It's not always so stable with work. Like it's easy to get a job maybe, but it's not easy to keep it, depending on the person, of course.
What do you really dislike about living in Barcelona?
There's really not much to dislike about living in Barcelona. Some of the things that I do dislike are so minor, they're not even really worth mentioning. So,
What do you really dislike about living in Barcelona?
God, I can't think about it. Hold on.
You mean there's nothing?
Um,
Sometimes it can feel a bit insecure in some areas at night. Like during the day, no, but at night, yes, it might feel like that. And well, I've been here for 1 year and a half, and I haven't noticed any change. But people that have been living here for more years have noticed that insecurity is rising a lot, especially in the areas with more tourists, more closer to the center, and also the prices of renting rooms, of renting apartments. Prices have been going up a lot.
Barcelona became a little bit dirty, and they don't have the control that they used to have in the past. In the past, Barcelona was a very calm and very safe city, and it's not super dangerous. In general, no one get killed. This is not as New York. I was living there too, but it's true that it became more unsafe. You get a lot of people who can steal you, no matter where. A lot of people get robbed. Your phone or your wallet or some like computers, and before it was one case in 1 million, and now I think almost everyone got steal or robbed during his stay here, even if you are local or you are coming just for visiting, and that is a very bad aspect. And unfortunately, the law doesn't really protect us much, because when they catch the thief, because they are going to maybe be liberated in less than 2 or 3 days, because they don't have really a law who can cover and protect the citizens. And another aspect is like in the city center, it became very crowded, and some people still maybe drugs or get into the alcoholic drinks in the street, and that it doesn't make look good Barcelona. Barcelona was kind of elegant and very kind of like intelligent, more because people were about the books and the intelligence there, and talking about big topics of life. And now there are like these two sides, right? Like the dark side and the light side, that kind of like share at their best, but you can start to see two big blocks of difference.
Dislike. Well, personally, I have a wonderful apartment, but it's over a youth hostel, and it gets noisy at night. I don't like that. I also don't think, geez, I've got to think of some more things I don't like. There isn't much I don't like. I don't like July and August. It gets too hot, and and lots and lots of tourists. I don't like that either.
In general, everyone who comes here, definitely bureaucracy is dreadful. Another thing is depending if you come here for opportunities. There's not many opportunities here working wise. People believe that Spain or Barcelona, especially people now coming from Hispano America. Okay, most of them probably because of the easy access of language, they come into Spain as I'm going to the United States, and it's not the same. The country suffer a lot of unemployment. Only if you prepare and you have a career, you can have a good life here. But otherwise, it's going to be tough. Another thing, I mean, I'm talking about the experience of if you come here as an expat. Um, not many Spanish people. One of the lack is the lack of communication. Not many Spanish people speak English.
For the first 1 or 2 months, I didn't speak any Spanish, nor I understood Spanish. And lots of the people here don't understand English. So I had a very big communication barrier at the beginning.
Well, I have to say two things as well. The first one will be the cost of living, especially when you come from a developing country, which is my case. You have to keep in mind the living costs in order that you can have a specific budget to survive while you get a job here or whatever. And the second thing is just finding a place to live. It is very difficult, and it's like a competition. So you need to be open to live anywhere where you have the opportunity to get a flat or a room.
So what I dislike the most is that some people get the chance to live in a city like Barcelona, but they do not quite understand what it is. So the result is that our society may be corrupted in some ways, and Catalan people or Catalan citizens, we did not manage to get a way to transfer our knowledge or culture properly. So that's something that I would like to improve or help improve. The fact that, of course, tourism is massified these days is not great, and it makes coexistence difficult. That's pretty much it, I would say. Yeah.
Dislike, it can be an insular way to live unless you're fluent in Catalan, and I mean fluent, then you can struggle socially. There's exceptions, but that tends to be the rule. So socially, you can be isolated unless you can find expats, and there's plenty of those in Barcelona now, more and more. It's becoming more international every day, which is great. A lot of the difficulties come from bureaucracy here. The bureaucracy, I mean, Spanish bureaucracy, Mediterranean countries in general are known to be terrible for bureaucracy. And I think since COVID, it's become worse. So dealing with government departments and even just with the simplest things take so damn long.
What I dislike is when I'm talking in Spanish to someone, they know I'm not from here, they speak Catalan to me, and I'm like, no parla catalan, no parla catalan, but they keep speaking Catalan to me. I'm like, are you trying to make me go away or something? And also I hate the bureaucracy here. Everything takes forever. And like I've lived in other countries in Europe. Everything takes a long time. You have to send letters, you have to use paper. Here it's not the case, but it takes so long. They don't tell you anything. You just have to wait. Another thing I don't really like about Barcelona, but I think it's mostly in Spain, sadly, is the salary. Like the minimum wage here is very low. So for living here, if you want to stay here, you party here, you eat here, you travel here, fine. But if you want to like make good plans, big trips abroad, you have to save a lot of money. If you're a doctor and engineer, you will still have low income, and this, yeah, it's not very attractive. Like I've even thought about in a couple of years moving to Germany or some other countries that the minimum wage is higher, but the life here is so good that I think like the low salary is okay. It's okay. I can handle it. Yeah. I think Other than that, just the salaries, but I think that it's kind of, yeah, give and take. I think that the salaries is like, you can live off of them, but you won't have the same amount of money as you would in the United States, for example. Like, salaries, I would say for a starting position especially, like you can't expect more than 30,000 a year, which is not the best, but also, yeah, it's doable.
Well, it's a bit too overpopulated, too crowded. It's not only, well, tourists are really annoying. I'm really sorry to say that, but since I live on the mountain and I live very close to touristic parkway, a lot of tourists are taking the buses. And I mean, I can stand, yeah, that's okay, but old people, I saw several times that tourists are not respecting older people who are boarding this bus. And I saw, if you walk around this area, you can see banners from the locals saying that the buses are for the locals, they're not for the tourists, and people are really mad about this. If you go to the city center, it's also very crowded. You want to walk the streets, it's kind of difficult. I'm not used to this because even though I lived in big cities, like my hometown, it's almost 2 million people. Warsaw was 2 million before the war. After, it got pretty also overcrowded with Ukrainians, but it still didn't feel that crowded.
Some negative parts would be the cost of living, the rents, especially because you can smart out the cost of the groceries, you buy your own ingredients, it's easy to find in local markets and also in local supermarkets. The prices of the food is not very, very high, but the prices of the rents, to rent a flat, to rent even a room, starts anywhere from 500 all the way until 900 just for a room. And then you have flatmates and you share the shared spaces, basically, yeah, the kitchen, bathroom, living room. So everything is pretty limited in spaces. Like we don't have here in Barcelona big family houses with garden. It's all apartments, flats. So those have limited spaces, and these are very antique buildings. So most of the time something breaks, goes off, goes bad, because it's for a lot of decades that they made these buildings and the channels, the tube system. So everything can go bad pretty like in any second.
And then there is another thing, right? So another thing is like some areas, the houses, the things, it's like in very bad condition. I feel like they might collapse anytime, and the local authorities don't take action. Either those houses are abandoned or people are not supposed to live in it, but they're living on it. So, like in the long run, it might cause damage to people who are like walking on the street or people who are even living there.
There's not really that many things. As per probably every other city, there is a tiny bit of petty crime that's been increasing for sure. And also the bureaucracy can be a bit of a tricky part. It's annoying, but I guess that's pretty much the negative side. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy every single day here.